S&P and NASDAQ may not. S&P is down just a tick, down 3.7. NASDAQ is down 39. Mike Lee joins me now. Mike, we had a great earnings season. I mean, there's no getting around it. All signs also point to a Fed cut in September now. Of course, things could change, but how much further can the rally run?
I think we are set up for one of the best bull runs of my lifetime. And I'll just put this into perspective. There's a year from now, I'd say that there's a good chance that rates are 150 to 200 basis points lower. And yes, talking about a good earnings season, we were looking at 4% earnings growth, roughly expectations going in. We came in at 12. I think earnings are likely to be much better over the next year, way above and beyond expectations. And then the big, beautiful bill just passed, AI going on in the background, everything's set up. I think we go substantially higher from here.
By the way, you said possibly 200 basis points lower for interest rates a year from now. I assume that means after we get a new Fed chief, right?
Yeah,
you're not going to see that with Powell.
No, but to put this in perspective, we are more restrictive now with where short-term interest rates are versus inflation than we have been the entire inflation cycle. So something's got to give.
Okay. I do want to get into specifics. CoreWeave, that's a company that I guess Nvidia owns about 7% of it. They're down about 40% in the last week, but you are still bullish. Is it a good time for investors to get in who've been waiting on the sidelines for CoreWeave?
Yeah, so look, they had some very substantial investors that did well in investing in this company pre-IPO. So Magnetar Capital put in roughly $600 million. That stake's worth about 14 or 15 billion. They couldn't sell stock until Thursday of last week if they were a pre-IPO investor. And so there's a lot of nerves coming in front of that. I think a lot of that has been washed out.
Mike,
and so now we're looking at a future growth rate from that, which should be pretty substantial.
Hang in with us, Mike. You're coming back in just a moment, but you just heard the opening bell ring. Let's take a look at the big board. As we thought, the Dow Jones is up about 80 points right now. If we can look at the big board and see the total amount, we see, the majority of the stocks are in the green there. About 2/3 are green and about 1/3 are in the red. If we can switch to the S&P, because that was down pre-market, it is not down as much. It's just down about 1.5 points right now. Checking the NASDAQ, if we can, that's down the biggest amount. But again, that is recovering a bit as well. Looks like the markets want to go green badly. We'll see if they do that. We're also showing you the various tech stocks. We have Nvidia and Apple both in the plus category. Nvidia is going to be reporting next week. A lot of people trying to get in before the report. Alphabet, Microsoft, and Amazon are trading down at the moment. So let's start with Nvidia, reportedly working on a new AI chip for China that will outperform the H2O. Current restrictions prevent them from sending their top-of-the-line Blackwell chips. And Mike Lee, come on and back in. Your stock picks, does that report strengthen your bull case?
Yeah, and what's wild, it's the same thing like I was just talking about with CoreWeave, is that the market is predicting that 15 months from now to 18 months from now, the growth rates for all of these artificial intelligence stocks is just going to collapse. And that all this 50, 75% year-over-year growth goes to like 15 or 10%. And it's just not a reality. So Nvidia is going to have a blowout quarter. The expectations are too low. And not only are they going to beat this quarter, they're going to raise estimates substantially now that they can do business in China, now that they're going to have a separate product line to sell there. So one thing to consider with them, for every chip they sell, they have demand for 15. And, next year and the year after, they're going to come out with something 5 to 10 times as fast that's on the market right now. So we are living in unprecedented times.
We are indeed. All right, we want to switch to an old tech stock. Intel, been having a lot of trouble over the past couple of years. The Trump administration reportedly is in talks to take a 10% stake in the chip maker. We don't know exactly how that would work. What we do know is they would use the CHIP Act grants, the CHIP Act, which was $280 billion of taxpayer money given to the company, some of that, and turn it into equity. The deal would make the U.S. the chip maker's largest shareholder. What do you think about that?
Well, look, the CHIPS Act, the idea was started in the first Trump administration, pushed over the finish line by the Biden administration, okay? The problem with the CHIPS Act is there's so much DEI and other government regulation and nonsense involved that there's been a lot of money poured in with very little return. Although I still think it's a great idea that we need to be making things here. Okay, for the U.S. to convert some of their investment into equity is a great idea. Stop micromanaging this company. Let's participate in the upside. The stock's also up because of a large SoftBank investment in them. And so you have a very large tech-savvy investor throwing a bunch of money behind the name. Ideally, this company that's an American icon turns it around.
All right. We're going to be talking more about this possible deal of the U.S. taking a stake in Intel. But next one is Home Depot. It reported before the bell, and it's up slightly despite a second quarter miss. Actually, more than slightly right now. It's up 3%. They maintain their full-year outlook on sales, giving investors a bit of hope. So, Mike, this is their second consecutive miss on earnings. Does that signal weakness from the consumer?
So, look, I think the stock is up because there's been a lot of fear around the housing markets. You're hearing all these headlines about excess inventory, the most homes for sale in many years. And obviously, you're not seeing a lot of turnover, and that has to do with interest rates going on right now. So for Home Depot to reaffirm their full year guidance, as well as show a return to same-store sales growth, is an important turning point in that the housing market is not great, but it is not collapsing. And this 2008, I mean, it's a long, before you know it, it's going to be 20 years ago, but it's still fresh in everyone's mind how volatile and how rough that was in the country. Yeah. So there's a lot of fear around this, and the smallest nuggets of good news are, can push stocks higher.
All right. We may see some good news coming out of Jackson Hole, although I don't put much bets on Powell, to tell you the truth. Well, cybersecurity company Palo Alto Networks is up after their earnings report, up over 6% right now. Investors are confident in a future sales boom. Is the turnaround at Palo Alto about to take effect, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've been talking about Palo Alto on the show for over a year. I think cybersecurity is going to be one of the key beneficiaries from artificial intelligence. Okay, the data applications and the things you can do to protect your data, to protect information, the use cases for AI go through the roof. Okay, as well as the demand to protect everything as you're putting all of this data in places. So it's kind of a double whammy, to use a very technical term, for Palo Alto.
All right. Thank you, Mike Lee. Good to see you, my friend. Still ahead, Zohran Mamdani